Let's continue, ma'am.
Okay, I think we should give like 5 minutes grace.
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
Let's
ma'am. That's right.
Okay, ma'am.
give it this. So when it is 5 minutes, in 4 minutes time we start. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am.
That's okay, ma.
All right. Okay, so we can start, I guess. Governor, can we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Is our governor not here? Hello, Madam Governor. Who is Deputy Governor?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Akinwale Samuel Soji, you are the Deputy Governor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, where's Sanwo-Olu?
Sanwo-Olu. I don't
Your
know.
governor, where is she? Your governor, Sanwo-Olu, where is she?
It's Temitope that is our governor. Temitope Njoku.
Where is she?
I don't know right away, but we attended the first lecture together. Let me put her on the line, please.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello,
Okay,
ma'am.
good afternoon. Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
All right,
afternoon,
she's
ma'am.
in already,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, I
Good
can see that
afternoon,
she's in. Okay, so happy Sunday to everybody. We are
Happy
going to
Sunday.
take our,
We wish you the same, ma'am.
thank you. So can we please all mute? Please, let us all mute. I can see that we are 24 in the class, which is not representative of our number. Governor, how many are we in total?
We are 51 today, ma'am.
So this 27 is not even representative of what we are. We're just a little bit higher than half. Okay, so today our course outline 3 is decision making in practical application. So we're going to look at decision making, how it affects us. So group 3 was given decision making. That's the assignment given to group 3. Grace, please, can you mute? Grace, please mute. Okay, just as we know, decision making is what we do every day. Even concerning our change of jobs, concerning our homes, concerning family, concerning everything that we do. Decision making is the core of everything. So we see decision making as a core practice for all social workers. For all social workers, decision making comes our way, even though we are not in our practice settings personally to take decisions. We just harness information for our organization with our clients. We supply information because we deal with those clients. We are the ones that are working with them directly in whatever practice settings we have. So we are working. So we are also part of the people that supply information that allows the general management of our organization to take those informed decisions. So social workers make decisions about career and professional relationships. We make decisions about our clients. We also make decisions about interventions. Itua Osazi Joseph, please mute. Itua, please mute. So we also make decisions about our clients, and we do interventions. And these interventions we do are what we react to that affects other people's lives. Decision making is also a core practice activity for us, as I said. And decision making is the process of the choices that we make. When we make decisions, we gather information, we assess alternative resolutions. And it is also in decision making, we do a step-by-step looking at the details. We are deliberate. We are thoughtful about the decisions that we make, and we also organize information and we define alternatives. So it is a process that is all-encompassing. So it is when we bring in all this process that it increases the chances that we will choose the most satisfying alternative that are possible. Because we cannot just take decisions just based on anyhow. We do a lot of research, we do a lot of critical thinking before we arrive at those decisions. And we know that whatever decisions we take, it will either make or it will mar our clients. So when we talk about decision making, we're also talking about a closure. Another word that we can use for decision making, you can say it is a closure, it is a resolution, it is a settlement, something that is settled or something that is resolved. Azu Doris, please mute. Azu Doris, please mute. Azu Doris, please mute. So we can also say that it is the cognitive process of reaching a decision or drawing conclusions. Because when we make decisions, we draw conclusions. And as social workers, decision-making skills are the set of skills that allows us to choose one among the various decisions in our practice settings. And this is also critical to success in all our endeavor. We need to look at some skills that are needed in decision making. And analytical decision making skills are very important. For a social worker, analytical skills refer to a social worker's ability to identify a problem and you investigate to find out what are the facts that has to do with this problem and to find a logical solution. Maybe in your practice setting, in your school, you notice that there's a problem, a child that is doing very well. You notice that the child is withdrawn, the child that is vibrant, that is intelligent, that is an extrovert. You suddenly notice that there's a problem with that child. So you have identified that problem. The next thing is to investigate and to find relevant facts so that you come to a logical solution. So this critical analytical decision skills is considered important in all our practice settings, especially for us to be able to come to a definite and effective decision making. And there are also soft skills that will help us to identify and solve complex problems. So these analytical skills are the ability to deconstruct information into smaller categories in order to draw effective conclusion. And it consists of logical reasoning, critical thinking. There's a need to communicate. Communication is important. Sometimes we do research in order for us to have data. We also need data. How many times has this child missed school? What are the grades? What was the grade when the child started school? You begin to notice it maybe in GS1, maybe in GS2, or maybe in second, third term SS1. You started noticing that the child is withdrawing up to GS2 second term. So you begin to you look at the grades, you analyze it. And creativity is also important in analytical decision making. And it is also a way of processing and breaking down complex information. It is helpful in making connections between two factors. That's what we have about analytical decision making. We need to do logical reasoning, communication. We need a lot of data and research. We also need creative decision making skills. So in creative decision-making, social workers draw on their resourcefulness and ingenuity. We must be resourceful as social workers. And ingenuity too is important for us to address issues and look for solutions. You know, we said that social work is a helping profession. Our work is to help people to look for solutions to their problems. So creative decision-making is the ability to consider all the perspectives and solve a problem in a new way. And it can also lead us to establish new or better alternatives. And some components in creativity for social work can be, you can explore motivation, expertise such as technical, procedural, and intellectual knowledge. The last one that we can look at is contingency planning. Contingency planning. And this is a course of action designed to help all social workers to respond effectively to a situation that has not occurred now, but a future incident, a future event or situation that may occur. You know, we are looking ahead. In all these alternatives and options that we have, there must be contingency plan. Sometimes we call it plan B. And this is a backup plan that is designed to anticipate a possible future event or circumstance. For example, in child protection issues, contingency planning will supplement any main plan for a particular child by considering significant risks that are not expected. These risks, we don't expect it when we are doing child protection, but we have identified them as being possible in the assessments of the family functioning. This may be concerned with the process of relating to the decision that we are taking for a child to remove or not to remove from a home. So those are the three of the skills that we can look at. Then we will now go to decision-making process. For us to effectively decide on issues, we must be able to identify the decision. Which decision are we taking? We must be able to gather information. We must be able to identify alternatives, because there must be alternatives that we're going to choose from. And we're going to put it on the scale of preference. Then we weigh all the evidences that we may have gotten. Then all the alternatives that we have to choose among the alternatives. Then we can take action after we have chosen the alternatives. And then whatever it is, the decision that we have taken, we need to review. So in identifying the decision, we must realize that we need to make a decision. That child that we are talking about, we need to make a decision. If the child is in an abusive environment, what decision are we going to make? And then we'll now try to clarify and define the nature of the decision that we must take. Are we going to leave the child in the home? Are we going to remove the perpetrator from the environment of the child? What decision are we taking in that instance? So this very first step is very important. The step of identifying the decision is very important. Then we'll now need to gather relevant information. So we must collect information that are both within the environment where the child is or outside the environment. These information are the ones that will now help us to go further. So now identify all the alternatives. What are the alternatives that we have? As we are collecting this information, there are also all areas of actions that we see that we can take, or alternatives that we can take. What are they? So in this wise now, the skills, analytical skills of the social worker will now have to come in. We need to use our imagination. We used to use additional information that we have. This is what will now allow us to now identify alternatives. So in this step, we now need to list all the possible and desirable alternatives. We list them before we take any decision. Then all the evidence, all the information that we have gathered, all the evidence that we have gathered, we need to weigh them. The evidence that we have gathered concerning this particular child, we need to weigh them. And this is for us to draw information and emotions to imagine what it would be like. What are we supposed to do? Which evidence is weightier than the other one? Which one is not relevant? We begin to sieve them. And all these alternatives, we need to choose the alternatives that we have arrived at. We need to choose which one. Then we'll now take action. We take action. Do we feel that taking action of removing this child from the home to a shelter is the best thing? Or do we think that removing the perpetrator? Or do we think that removing maybe the child is with a guardian or a caregiver? Should we remove the child and take the child to the biological parents? We need to take that action. It's very, very important. So it is in decision making, it is very important to identify need for decision. You must get relevant information. We must also decide on the goal. What is our goal for this particular child? Whatever we are doing for children, we know child protection, it is the best interest of the child. That is the goal. To ensure that whatever decision that we are going to take should be in the best interest of this child. If it is an issue of husband and wife that are fighting for custody of the child, it's not in the best interest of the mother. Nor is it in the best interest of the father or the grandparents, but in the best interest of the child. In the rancor and strife of the husband and wife, whatever each party is saying, is it for the interest of this child or for their own selfish reasons? So our goal must be clear. So we need to decide on the goal of that action that we are taking when we are making that decision. So, and what is the overall goal of the decision that we are taking? Is to see that the future of that child is secure. Then we must also generate a few viable options. Those are options, we must weigh them, and then we must implement those decisions. And then we will revise the implementation and decision that is needed. So some of the factors that inform decision making in our sector are the law. The law is very important. Section 1 of the Child Rights Act says that everything that we are talking is in the interest of the child. The child rights law is a law that pertains to everything that has to do with the child. So law is very important. Then morality. Then sometimes our personalities as social workers too is also a factor that may come into place in decision making. So factors that will determine decision making for all social workers, law is very important. Morality is also very important. And our personality traits are also very important. So in this respect, norms that shape the behavior of we professionals, and also some other factors that can be considered is attention. We should place close attention to the decisions that we make. Then we must have a memory that is up and doing, that is sharp. We must be able to think critically sentiments is not part of what we are looking at when we are looking at decision making. Because we are not sentimental. We cannot say, oh, that woman, the man has suffered her too much. The child should go to the woman. We may be sentimental in our judgments. Probably the woman is not of sound mind. Maybe the woman is not able to take care of the child because she's sickly, she has health issues. But we cannot say, because we are sentimental, we want the woman to take care of the child, which is not in the best interest of the child. And we must have good leadership qualities to be able to take right decisions concerning our clients. Sometimes culture too plays an important role in decision making. The culture that the leader belongs to, our environment too is good. It's also one of the issues that is relevant. This child that is abused in a particular environment, is a child like it's staying with a guardian in an environment that is porous, that the child is abused by the people within the environment where the child is living. The environment is very important when we are taking decision. Are you removing that child from a volatile environment to another volatile environment? So environment is very important. Then certainty and risk and uncertainty. All these are factors that we should look at when we are taking decision. Then good decision making is critically important in social work, where everyday practice can involve very high risk situations. Then dealing with these situations calls for a sense making and processing of information from different sources. All this information that we are gathering, it will help us to form a professional judgment. Just as you said, we don't base our decisions on sentiments. So decisions that we take forms a professional judgment. We talked about ethics, ethical standards. We talked about principles. So ethical decisions made by social workers are shaped by the decision maker. And the process used to solve the ethical dilemmas. You know, we said that all organizations have their culture. We have our do's and we have our don'ts. We have our aims, we have our objectives, we have our vision, we have our mission. Whatever decision that is being taken in a practice settings will be based on the decision of the organization as stipulated in the vision and mission, and also the other areas and bylaws of the organization. So systematic guidelines for resolving ethical dilemmas offer social workers a logical approach to the decision-making sequence. It is sequential. Social workers are influenced by professional rules, practice experiences. What is our role? Our practice experiences, individualized perspective, sometimes personal preferences, motivations, and attitude. So all this coming together helps us to take a good decision. So when we are talking about informed decision-making, this is derived from evidence-based practice. We just don't conclude. It must be evidence-based. We must be able to gather the data. We must be able to do some research, ask questions. So whatever it is, informed decision-making, we derive it from evidence-based practice. And it is important to draw together all the relevant knowledge that is used in the decision-making process. Analytical thinking, informed decision-making, for us to be clear about the thinking and be able to demonstrate it to others. Because when, for example, when it comes to maybe a legal action is taken, the evidences that helps us to conclude is very important to be tendered as evidences. So all that we do as social workers must be evidence-based so that we are able to demonstrate it to others. So all this is calling for informed decision-making. So decision-making, as we said, is the process of selecting the best possible option in a given situation. And effective decision-making often requires us to identify many potential options. Just as we said, there are so many options that we are going to identify, and we are also going to anticipate possible outcomes as we consider the needs or wants of others impacted by the decision. As part of the ethical decision-making process, social workers should consider ethical guidelines, as we said in our first class, and our practice standards, our responsibility to our clients, to our colleagues, to the practice settings, to social work practice itself. So we are going to consider all that. So that will inform our practice and reflect on our present and past conduct in order for us to determine if they have been followed. The relevant laws, have they been followed? The policies on ground, have they been followed at the ethical standards? So all these are also issues that will help us to come to an informed decision. So what influences decision-making in social work? I want to throw it to the class. When we are talking about decision-making, what are the things that influence our decision-making? Akinya Adetoyosi, Omolabake. Is she there?
I'm here, ma'am.
Yes. What sometimes influences decision-making in social work?
What sometimes influence decision making in social work is the let me say the situation of the client, what the client brought in as the case will influence the kind of decision we are going to make.
Anyambolu Margaret.
Yes,
Anyambolu
ma'am.
Margaret.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you take it off from what she has said?
Usually decision making is based on individualism. It depends on what actually happened, and which word do I use now? What actually happened? What is the norm of what is the norm of the individual? What is the normal of the individual? That's the norm. There's usually based on individualism, based on individualism. That is what most times decides how the decision is made.
Oluwatobi Oseni. Can you help her? Oluwatobi Oseni.
Ma'am.
We were saying that what influences decision-making in social work?
The little I understand, it's how the person makes his or her own decision.
We're talking generally that what influences decision-making in social work, in your sector. What's the practice setting? Where are you working? Where are you working? Oluwatobi Oseni.
I'm working in the detergent industry.
Yeah, so what influences decision making in social work? Okay. Nwanne Odinachi. Nwanne Odinachi, oh yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What influences decision making in social work?
What I understood there is that after gathering all the information about your clients, so you'll be able to identify that the problem of client A is different from client B. So this influences your decision making of how to go about it.
Abioye Deborah, can you help?
I believe that the situation on ground will determine the kind of course the decision should be taken on the best interest of the clients on ground. For instance, if we have a vulnerable woman who is experiencing the domestic violence, the first thing is we'll consider the factor that contribute to that violence and encourage her to desist from it by asking what she can do. So the client's best interest should be one of the major reasons for decision making. Thank you.
Maxi, can you throw more light?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
What influences decision making in social work? Ethics is one of it. Cultural competence, professionalism, which means how the profession recommends will handle such cases within the framework of legal requirements and best practice. So those are part of the considerations that we must put into play. Also the principle of individualism, which means each individuals are different and should be treated as such. Each case is different and should be treated as such. Then also looking at the individual's interest, which means that we should always ensure that individual's interest is protected. Then individuals we only give them a range of options open ethically for them to take, but we don't help them take those options. We only provide this range of options for them, then they make decisions themselves, because the individual, most often than not, have the solution, the problem, but we are only just there as a guide or a moral compass by which they make such decisions.
Progress Okoro, you raised your hand.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can we hear you? Yes.
Okay. One of the factors that influence decision making is the law. Let me give an example, like the LGBTQ community. If you're handling a case pertaining any of the LGBTQ members, decision making in Nigeria would definitely differ from that of a Western country. So you can't make a decision in favor of a member of LGBTQ because it's against the law of the nation. But if it's in the West, you have to try to protect their own rights and make decisions in their favor.
Labjas Ejele, thank you. Labjas Ejele, can you throw more light?
Good evening,
What influences decision making? Yes, in social work.
I think I'll still go with the person, someone that spoke earlier about information. Yeah, that's
Talk another thing. Just say another thing different from what that person has said. There are so
okay.
many
That
angles.
there are skills in decision making too that one can apply, like the analytical skill, which is important in gathering information. But basically, it's about information that will help us to make informed decision by harnessing what we know about what is on ground. And then
Okay,
objectivity.
can you throw more light on decision making and environment?
Decision making and
Decision
environment.
making and
Okay,
environment, yes.
just like the previous speaker, she mentioned something about LGBT and acceptance in one area as against another. Okay, let's say divorce, for example. Let me just quickly pick divorce. In most developed countries, we find that the woman is the one that is protected by the law often or shown favor. So as against what obtains here in Nigeria. So situations like that, you can have people who want to use that particular law against the man, for example. So you really need to know the facts that are on ground for you to be able to make an informed decision in that kind of situation.
Anna, Thelma, can you throw more light? Anna, Thelma.
Yes, ma. You said decision making in relationship to the environment.
What influences decision making in social work?
Okay, what influences decision making in social work? It all depends on the person the client you want to make decision for. If the client is someone that is in maybe, for example, if it is in a northern environment where most of the females put on what we call puda, you cannot decide for that lady if you don't really know their culture there, because most of their culture there do not accept women to make decision on their own. You have to, before you decide for that person, the partner have to be there. So if you just say because that person brings a problem to your table and you want to make decision for that person, maybe that person came there with let me say violence at home and with some other evidences, you cannot just make decision for that individual. You have to contact some other people, like the husband of that individual, and also you have to take in place and take cognizance to the culture of that environment. Like I said, that the culture there is, you cannot decide for that woman. You cannot tell the woman do this or do that. And then not only that, for you to make decision, you have to make reference too, because sometimes they may bring a problem that you will not be able to solve as a social worker. You have to make reference. And then in making reference, you can direct such a person to a nearby institution or agency.
Referral, you mean? Referral.
Yes.
Okay,
and
so
then another thing
Chidima.
again is,
Okay. Finish up, sorry.
Another way to make, you cannot, when it comes to decision making also, like this person I said, this is an example, a woman in Puda, you cannot just decide for that person. You can also try to kind of inform the person where to go to, and then follow up on the decision of that agency to know whether the problem has been solved or not.
Okay, so for Chidima Ugoji, are you there? Chidima Ugoji. Chidima Ugoji. Chidima is not in the class.
I'm here, ma'am.
Okay, so Chidima, we have identified a case of incest in a particular setting. Yes. We have identified that case and we want to gather information. How do we go about it?
All right. First thing that should be done in gathering information from a case of incest is to speak to the client involved. And part of the things we have learned over time during this course is that you as a social worker must learn to communicate rightly, and also to be able to establish some level of trust between yourself and the client. By so doing, you'll be able to gather concrete and viable information that could help.
So what kind of information do you need in this instance? What information do you need in this instance? Evidence-based.
Evidence-based information.
Yes.
We'll need information like the place of the event. You need information of who is involved in the act. And then you also need information about
We have already
morality
identified that it's an incest. It's happening between a father and a child, or a mother and a child. So we have identified that it's incest.
Okay. You also
and we have identified that. So how do we gather the information?
We also need information about the morality of the setting, because in some places incest is nothing, while in other places incest is a big deal. So it is important that the social worker gets to understand what is the morality of the setting in which the event happened. From there, the social worker can now have an overview of what the problem possibly is and where it's coming from. Because if it's an environment where incest is applauded, then it's going to be a little bit difficult for the social worker to be able to make the father or even the daughter see that what had happened is violation or even what's it called, abuse. But if it's an environment where incest is not allowed, it is easier for the social worker to make these people involved see that what has happened is violation and abuse. And then on that basis, the social worker can now rely on the law for further investigative work or for further decisions to be made. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so for Mary Ann Adegoke. For Mary Ann Adegoke, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of information do you collect in the case of this incest? What are the information that may come to you that you are going to collect when you are looking at this issue as a social worker? It comes to your desk.
First, I would be speaking with the child, privately.
What
of course.
information? The information that you are going to collect in this instance.
Okay.
We know that you are going to
Information
be
I'll
speaking.
Yes, the information I'll collect from the child, first of all, will be what was done to her, and when this happened, and how frequent this has been happening, as in how frequent has the father been having relations with her, when it has happened, who has she told, and how does she feel about this. I will get the information from the child, and the father himself.
You have not told us what the information are.
Okay, the information that we'll get from the child.
Because the steps in decision making, one of the steps is that you are going to gather relevant information. We want you to tell us the relevant information that you are gathering from this child, because it is those information that you are going to use to base on your judgment to take your decision. Do you understand? So in this instance, this is like a case study. So tell us the information that you are gathering. Akinya Adetoyosi, take it up from there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Based on my little knowledge, being a new person in this field, I want to say that based on the few lectures that I've had so far, I want to say that maybe information
it's not this is every day. This scenario is an everyday scenario.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not, it has got nothing to do whether you just came or you didn't just came.
Okay. Well, I want to say that information.
Because you know that we talked about critical thinking, analytical thinking. We have talked about it. Yes. So
yes,
So that's what we are doing now.
Information.
We are analyzing.
Okay, ma. I need to gather information about the family background, the cultural background, the religion practice of where the victim came from. Then we need to know about their psychosocial status. So when we get all these details, then we'll know about the relationship, how it exists, the traits, how it has been in the family, how the situation of the family, the cohabitation, I don't know how to put it, how they have been living together in that family, We are going to get the details to know the status of the client, even in the family, before we can begin to do anything concerning the case.
Abioye, can you throw more light? Your hand is up. Abioye Deborah.
Yes, I think to gather the kind of information one we need in this particular situation is a confession from the child being which experiences this instance, and one will gather information from the
What is the information? What is the information you are gathering?
The information I'm gathering is how the event happened from the child. We need to give her a kind of structured interview to ask her particular questions targeted at her, but we should consider her emotion too and willingness to give this information, how frequent it happened, how it happens, the rewards, or if there are no rewards, if there are threats given to lure her into it, if there are threats given to make her not to speak out, if there are any punishments in the past, and we should check her how so much her esteem has been damaged, and so on and so forth. Then another thing is we look for high witness confession. She lives in a house. She has friends. She might be in school and discuss with her best friend. These people she had confided in. We get their own accounts of the events, and most likely the child that might have experienced this particular thing might have undergone some medical procedures. If it happens to be a girl, maybe she had been pregnant before and experienced abortion, how so much the damage has gone. And then we check the family history. There could be history of maybe violence, domestic violence, and the rest. These are part of the data that should be collected. But then while doing this, the environment should be considered too, because these are contributing factor, and one should be very careful about how to handle it, because some people do not really like these cases to go out. Although it will might eventually go out, but then one should be very conscious of the feelings and the emotion of the clients involved. That's my account. Thank you.
Okay, but the what I heard you say is about pregnancy and abortion. Those are the two things that I heard you say. You have gathered information on whether the child has been pregnant before. That's an information. And also, you have gathered information whether the child has had an abortion from all that you have spoken now. Okay, Juru Blessing. In this case of incest, which information are you gathering?
Okay, good evening.
Because we are listing the information now, we are going to choose from the alternatives.
Okay, I will start by gathering the personal data of the child. So this will include the name, the age, the name of her school, and her class. I would begin. The next step for me now is the parents' details. I want to know about her parents. What is the name of the father? What is the name of the mother? How many siblings are in that family? That's the second data I want to collect. The third one will be the frequency of the events. Under this, I'll be looking at the incident reports. I'll be asking critical questions on when. When did it happen? And as the child is speaking, I am the one documenting. And the second question I want to find out is where. Where exactly did this thing happen? The third question I want to ask is the pattern. What is the pattern or the form or how this person actually come to you as a child? Because we've seen cases where perpetrators go to children with sweets, with biscuits. So in my mind, I want to understand the pattern of the perpetrator. Then the last thing I would now look at is, have you reported this case to somebody else? I want to document the eyewitness because it also helped me to build my evidence-based information. Then, are you feeling any pain? Are you bleeding? If it's a girl child, I want to understand the effect of the abuse on the child. So I think for me, these are the critical questions I will want to get from the child before I then decide what next, which could be to report the case to the relevant agency, who will now take it up from there.
So what are the external information that you have gathered? You have talked about the internal one, knowing about the family background. What are the external information that you have gathered?
The external information I will want to gather is regard to an eyewitness. If she has reported the case to somebody, maybe her neighbor, her teacher, her siblings, I also want to understand that, because that will help the investigation, because that will also build on the evidence you're trying to build up. And so, okay, this child has been reporting these cases to their class teacher. And then you will now begin to ask critical questions. As a school, what are you doing when children come to school and report cases like this? What are the school policies that are in place to ensure protection of children when they come reporting cases on abuse? So for me, that is the external factor I will want to also dive into.
Including the academic performance of the child. That is also part of it. Yes.
Yeah.
So how does sentiment affect decision making?
Okay.
Grace. No. Grace. How does sentiment affect decision making?
All right, ma'am. Sentiments, from my own point of view, it clouds one's sense of judgment, in the sense that you have already concluded in your mind, even when you think the child is not, in the sense of this incest now that happened, and the child comes to you and trying to make a report of what happened. In your mind, you would have like, okay, you are always outside, you're always going out. Why are you? And you're not supposed to be where you are supposed to be. Sentiments are set in. Just free your mind from it. Sentiment, once it sets in, it clouds one's sense of judgment, and you can never get it right. There is no way one will get it right. So sentiment, in my own point of view, is not supposed to be one's decision making, and other things are being involved now.
Okay, whose hand is up? Oluwatobi Oseni. I think I've called Oluwatobi. Itwa Joseph.
Hello, I'm here.
Yes, let us look at an incident of domestic abuse. The incident of domestic abuse, how do you gather information?
Okay, I'm if I can give any scenario now, any example from any scenario, right?
Tell us how you gather information when it concerns an incident of domestic abuse.
In my own perspective, in my own way, the way I will gather information, by calling the affected person, that the person that is being affected, then I will inquire the person based on what I can see. Probably, maybe for example, maybe it's between a partner, husband and wife, and maybe the woman is the one that is being molested, that is being beaten or handled. So, and to investigate and gather my own information. So, based on what I can see and what she's saying, maybe I can see some form of injury. I can see even the way she's talking. I can know that this particular lady has really gone through a lot. So, based on what I can see and based on what she sees, that is where I can gather my information.
Okay, so what are the evidences they say that you have gathered?
I didn't get you, ma.
You said you have seen that she has some injury in her body.
Yes.
There can also, maybe she has also lost her job or source of income. She's also seeking medical assistance. Every day she's in the hospital after battery.
Okay.
Yeah, so what do you think should be done in that instance? Because we have collected all this information. What action do you want to take? What alternatives do you want to, what action do you want to take? What are the alternatives?
Okay, the action I will.
Because you are the social worker that has been assigned this job, and you have gone to the place, you have asked relevant information. What alternative action will you take in this instance in order for your organization to now take an effective decision concerning this matter? Do you understand? Who wants to help him? Who wants to come in? Do a blessing. Let's hear you.
Ma'am, please, can you take the question again, please?
We are looking at an incident of domestic abuse. And he has told us that he is the social worker attached to this case, and he has done his findings. And the evidence that he has are that there's an injury. The woman has sustained some injuries. Probably she has also lost her job because she was always not coming to work. It was affecting her productivity. And she has also lost some income. Maybe she's running a shop. She's not able to go to the shop, or the man destroys her market. And she also has evidence of medical bills that she's running. All these are the evidences that he has gathered. And now, what are the actions that he's going to suggest to his organization? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so what are the actions? What are the alternative actions that should be taken? All the evidence are there. There's evidence of injury. There's evidence of loss of job. There's evidence of loss of income.
Now, the action to be taken, I will first of all look at the area of scope of the organization I'm coming from, and what we are supposed to do according to our establishment rules guiding our establishments. Now, for the case of domestic violence, do we have the capacity to handle it? If we do, then I will recommend that we should handle it by making provisions to create making provision for our safety first. Then if we do not have the capacity according to the provisions of my organization, then we could make a referral to better organizations that could handle it. And another thing we should consider is that we have the evidence now, and the client is actually has consented, because we cannot take any decision behind that, even though we gather all these evidences. So we need a consent. Then from there, we could do a follow-up to monitor the processes and the events that are being taking place to curb the issue on ground. Thank you.
Okay, so you have looked at providing safety. You are removing her from her matrimonial home. Is that what you are saying?
To leave. That's if she consents to leave.
Okay,
Or we
so
will
you are
create
removing
a
her.
kind of distance from where she is. We can create a kind of a distance between her and the assailants. So I
The
don't know.
perpetrator.
The perpetrator, rather.
Yes. So where are you taking her to?
Now we will ask if she has any relatives, if there's anybody to trust enough with her safety. If we have a shelter place for her to, if my organization has a provision for shelter, we could provide her a temporary place of abode where she could clear her head for the meantime while the event is ongoing. And as much as I think I could remember, I will make provision for things that will trigger some of those events. She will be taken away from the environment if there is shelter in my organization, or for our family members, if she had any, or a friend, a trusted person, even a church or a mosque or a community or any organization or person that can make a provision, we should take her to this safe place. The keyword is safety, a safe place.
So all these.
Please, my question, please. Sorry, I want to ask a question in regards to what she has said. Please, ma, I want to ask, because I've seen this happen. And
please, 1 minute. 1 minute. We have opportunity to raise our hands. I've not finished with her. So you want to provide safety for her, to her family members, to her friends, to her worship place. You also want to do a referral. Which one will you do out of all this? Out of all these alternatives that you have given, which one is it? Because you have to choose among all these alternatives. You know, it's a process.
We'll conduct an
because
investigation.
you are the one that is treating this matter in your organization. You are the one that is going to give the reports. You are going to do a thorough report to enable your organization take the decision. So you have listed the alternatives now. So choose which of it, because you have to scale the alternatives that you have given. If you are doing a referral, if you are doing a referral, do you have organizations that you are referring her to? Do you have a list of organizations that you are going to do referral? In the case of, yes, you know, and then family, which of the families do you think is capable of taking her? Friend, which of the friend do you think is capable of taking her? Because you know, this is still part of the purview of your responsibility. As you are giving this decision that you have taken to your organization, it's just for them to implement it. So it has to be thorough. It's not just something that we do just in the air. Do you understand? So thank you. Thank you for this information that you have given. So I have, I think I have 3 hands up. Juru, you have spoken. Nemeka Akpan, are you the one that wanted to talk?
Yes, ma.
Okay, go ahead.
Please, ma, I want to ask, even when all these options are led to the client and she still insists that she wants to still be in the house, is it possible that a social worker could suggest, because I've seen it happen before, like let the husband write an undertaking and police was involved while she will still stay in the house, but the husband writes an undertaking that he will not touch her again. Is that a very good option?
We have not reached that. Maybe when we want to do general question, you can throw that in.
Okay, ma.
So take it up from where Juru has finished now. So she has identified the alternatives. Do you know the alternatives that she has identified?
Yes, ma.
She says
Whether
that
she should stay in the house or whether any relative will accept her or whether any family member so that she could leave the house for her safety.
Okay, so which one of all these alternatives? How do you go about them?
Okay, first
The
of all,
referral, how do you go about the referral?
Okay, for the referral, I will look for any organization, like any agency that is involved in abuse or that handles any domestic abuse that involves husband and wife. If there is
Like,
anyone, then I will refer.
Which one do you know?
Agency for women. I've forgotten. There is women.
Like NAPTIP.
They have. Then I will refer her to one of them. Then I will follow up. I will ask her, okay, please, when you get there, I would like to also know what they advised her to do. If they are
No. Let's take it sequentially. You are going to do a referral. That means that you have agencies that your organization is partnering with.
Okay, ma.
Do you understand? So you have agencies that your organization, for those, maybe for those that have shelter, or the domestic sexual referral center in Lagos State.
Yes, ma'am.
You must be aware of those ones. And the ones that are also private.
Yes,
like Ireti, like all those organizations that are private, and the ones that are sexual assault referral centers, for example, in Lagos State where we are. So we are going to do referral to those places. And you are sure that they will take her because you are solving a temporary problem. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And then how do you deal about the family? Because she also mentioned that either she'll ask her to go to the family or friends or place of worship. How do you go about that?
I will first of all find out if there is anybody she can stay with. Is the person capable of taking, should I say, footing her bills at that point? Would the person be able to feed her? If she has a child, will the person also be able to handle, or should I say, cater for their needs till time being when the issue will be resolved? If there is anybody like that, is it her friend or is a church member or is a close family person that can, and the person should also be willing, not that she would guess that this person will accept. So maybe I would talk with the person also to hear if the person is ready to accept her in for the time being.
Okay, thank you. Well, we also remember that when we are looking at referrals, or when we are removing people from violent spot to a place of safety. For example, in this instance, now we are removing this woman. We are taking her to a safe place, and we want to take her to a particular family, and she's going with her children. And there's also a girl child among her children. And we are taking her to go to another family. There's the possibility of abuse on her children. So all those are factors that we take into consideration when we are choosing alternatives. We are doing what is in the best interest of the woman. We are not going to remove her from frying pan and we are going to take her to fire. So when we are looking at those alternatives, we look at all those. Before we take those actions, we are choosing between those alternatives. And when we are taking that action, it means that we have already done our findings. Before we take action, we have found out that the woman is in a situation where she needs to leave that place. And we have also found that she is a woman that has children. If we are referring, we have a relationship with those referral centers. We have them, we are in partnership with them. And if we want to remove her, to take her to also a family or church, for how long are they able to do that before we take our decision? Okay, do I see any hand? Oh, no, Koya, your hand is up.
Yes, ma'am.
Your hand is up.
Yes, ma'am. 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 Yes, m
Can we hear you, Onokoya? Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk about my experience on these domestic abuse. I have a sister that the husband is every day. Let me call it everyday abuse. She now came to me and said, as a community officer, what can you do to assist me? I said the first thing is I have to snap all the bruises on her body. I said that one will be first evidence. So secondly, I said, the thing we are going to do is let's go to human rights at Alausa. So when we got there, they have to snap her again. And they asked her so many questions. How it happened, what happened, how many children did she have for the man? How old are they? How old is she? Where did they stay? Are they in face me and face your apartments? How conducive is their environment? And all those questions. Thereafter, they now call on the husband. The man refused to come. So with the intervention of the Alausa, they now went to their house with a police officer to arrest him. That was when the man now said, if not because of the involvement of the police officers, him is not going to go with us. So at the end of the day, he went with us. The DPO interviewed him and everything. With the intervention of that, we are not like, even if the lady now said she wants to stay with me. I said, even if you want to stay with me, let's consider these children. Because in anything, you have children, not even one, not two, not three, for this man. So at the end of the day, they now have to force the man to sign that he's not going to touch the woman again. Even after the undertaking, the man is still saying, he's not going to be giving them money for food. So the DPO now called him back and said, no.
So those are
they now force him that they now ask the man, how much are you earning per month? The man said 150. The woman said it's a lie. You are earning almost 300. So they now did percentage 60-40 like that. That was when they now said the man should sign.
Thank you.
So now,
thank you, Onokoya. So what was the eventual decision that was taken?
The eventual decision was taken was that the woman still remains in that house, and he must not. So I think after some times when the thing now died, the man now came again. That after everything has settled, that he wanted to be, he needs to be having sex with her. The lady now said, no. Let me build up myself again, because I've already destroyed all my business, because lady, she's a caterer. The guy went to assure.
So the eventual decision that was taken was that the woman should stay put in the house. That was the eventual decision that was taken.
Yes, with the children.
With the children. Okay. Thank you. So there's also the option of in areas of. Thank you. Also in areas of that we have talked about now of domestic abuse, we have talked about separation, that they should be separated
yes,
for the safety of the woman. But wherever the woman is taking her children to, we must consider so many other things, that it will not be a continuation of the abuse. If they don't want to divorce, they can separate. And then if there's issue of like anger, maybe one party has anger issues, the kind of therapy can also be considered for that particular partner. Like anger management series can be organized, pending when the family can now see how they can get it right. So that's another way of going about it. But we should know that whatever decision that we are taking should not be one that will aggravate and add to the problem. There's an article I want us to go on the internet and look at. Decision making in child protection. Decision making in child protection is an article that I came across on the internet. The use of theoretical, empirical, and procedural knowledge by novices and experts and implications for field placements. It was like a decision that was taken concerning child protection. I want us to read the article and do me a one-page summary. Do a one-page summary for submission by 4 p.m. next week, Friday, before our presentation. So the article presents the findings from research that explored how child protection practitioners in faraway Australia, they used 4 structured decision-making tools that was developed by the Children's Research Center. That's what they used in their daily practice, in the intake and investigation stages of a case. Decision-making in child protection, the use of theoretical, empirical, and procedural knowledge by novices and experts, and implications for field work placements. I'm going to send the correct assignment to your governor to give to you. She's going to share it with you on your platform. I want you to just do a one-page summary for me. So look at it. Do a one-page summary for me by next week, Friday. So we still have 3 more course outlines. Course outline number 4 is the role of social workers in some specific fields of practice. We're going to specifically look at some fields of practice, and it's going to be an interactive session. We have opportunities to look at our role in those fields of practice. Course outline number 5 is social work and social justice. Social work and social justice. Then the last one is evidence-informed practice perspective, applicable cases and analysis, just like we're looking at case studies. But we can say that from when we started our classes, we have been looking at case studies. So it's an ongoing thing. We have looked at 2 case studies now of decision-making in child protection, decision-making in instances of abuse, domestic abuse. So our next course outline will be, I think we'll take 4 and 5 together in the next class. Okay. So in summary, we have said that decision-making refers to the process of evaluating and choosing among alternatives. You see how we evaluated that the child abuse. Some of us evaluated the incidents of domestic abuse. We looked at it. We looked at the evidence. Evidence in the child. We saw that she may have had some incidents of abortion. She may have been pregnant several times. From the woman, we saw that she has some injury in her body. She has lost her job, her income. The last evidence that our sister gave was that the man destroyed the woman, the wife's catering equipment, destroyed all her things. So we are going to look to evaluate the process. All these incidents, we are going to evaluate them. And we are beginning from the first step, which is to identify the decision that we are going to take. What is the decision? We identify the decision. The next step is that we gather information. We gather all the relevant information that will help us to take evidence-based decision. Then we identify alternatives. Then we now weigh all the evidences, all the evidence that we have gathered, we weigh them. Then we choose among the alternatives. Which one? Is it to do a referral? Is it to take to safety, provide safety? Which one? Is it to allow her to be in the home for the man to sign an undertaking? Which one? So we need to choose among all the alternatives that we have common. And then we immediately take action. So while we are at it, if we are doing a referral, we ought to have contacted our collaborators to tell them that we have a case, we are referring. They have a shelter, they will put the woman in a shelter. So we need to take that action that will not backfire and will not bring about some other abuse. Then whatever decision that we have taken, we need to review. We need to review, to look at it. And then we also said that we must have effective attention. Our memory must be good. Emotion and sentiments, leadership qualities are also part of it. Then culture and environment is also an issue when we are looking at decision making. And then we said that in making decisions, it is necessary to perceive and eliminate unethical options. Anything that we know that is unethical, we must eliminate them. And we must select the best ethical alternative. That's why we are weighing all of them. That's why we are listing all the alternatives. So decision-making refers to the process of evaluating and choosing among alternatives in a manner that is consistent with ethical principles. And in making ethical decisions, it is necessary to perceive and eliminate unethical options and select the best alternative in all of them. Okay, do we have questions? Our sister raised an issue that we said she should bring when we have finished the class. Sister, are you there? You were talking about somebody, a woman that refused to leave the abusive relationship.
Yes, ma.
Yes. Ineka Akpan, are you the one?
Yes, ma.
Yes. Can you share it with us?
So, ma, I was asking, okay, the husband has been abusing her. So people tried to intervene, they talked to her, but she now came up with the, should I say, her own aspect of the issue that she's not working and she can't leave the house. She has 3 children. Where would she stay? So I'm not asking because at a point, police was involved and the husband had to sign undertaking. I'm asking, as a social worker, is it something that we could suggest or is it something that should be done? Because after the husband signed an undertaking, there has been peace. Is it right?
Okay, so class. Imaika is asking a question. She said that in the case of domestic violence, the law was brought in. The man was to sign on an undertaking, and he has been of good behavior after signing the undertaking. Are you asking if it is right for the social worker to suggest that undertaking? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma. Is it right?
Okay. Is it our role? Is it our role as social workers to suggest that the woman does not want to leave? We support her to stay. Are we the ones that suggested the undertaking? Or is it part of the process in the police station? Is it a social worker that suggested the undertaking?
should I say Women Affairs? They were involved, Ministry of Women Affairs in my state.
Okay, so the question you are asking now that,
like
what
as
is
a
the
social
question you are
worker,
asking? Sorry, yes.
can a social worker suggest that the person involved should suggest that the husband will sign an undertaking, the violence will stop? Because in this case, it was the Ministry of Affairs. There is a particular person that took up that case, and he said when they went to the police station, the person said that let this husband sign undertaking, and she insisted, and the man signed undertaking. So I'm now asking, can a social worker suggest that? Is it right?
For us to suggest signing of undertaking, that's the question.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
class,
Yes,
she's asking that is it proper for us as a social worker to suggest that the what's that name? That the victim, there's another name that we use in calling victim, signs an undertaking. Oh yeah, class. That is survivor, yes, survival. Is it proper for us? Is it proper for us as social workers to advise the survivor to sign an undertaking? That's the question she's asking. The survivor in this instance is the woman. Abioye, can we hear you?
The abuser to sign that he will not abuse
the perpetrator. Yes, the perpetrator is signing an undertaking. See, the question now is you are asking is that, is it proper for us social workers to now advise the survivor to now make the man who is the perpetrator to sign an undertaking? Am I correct?
Yes, ma. Yes, ma.
Okay, okay. So can we have contribute? I'm trying to look at
in this
1 minute,
particular
please.
case. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the issue of signing on is not the job of the social worker to do. That should fall within the ambit of the police, who will be able to properly take the risk assessment as to the safety requirement or safety needs. It's based on the safety requirement and safety need that issues of signing undertaking or not signing undertaking will come into context. So it's really not I don't think it's really the position of the social worker to delve into issues of undertaking, signing of undertaking. I think generally is the social worker might look at the risk assessment, but then the decision of what weapon to use to curtail such risk assessment in the end should fall within other parties, other legal parties in the matter, like the police or the Ministry of Women Affairs.
Okay. Who else wants to contribute? Duru Blessing, your hand is up.
Yes, ma.
Yes.
I think for me, practically, it is not the position of the social worker to put on the table suggesting that the matter should be addressed by compelling the perpetrator to sign an undertaking. It is that decision should be made by the agency in course of the reconciliation process, right? But as a social worker, my interest will be the woman's welfare, which is paramount here, right? And also to help her make informed decisions and choices. So if she consents to it, it means that I have been able to put her in a position where she sees that this is an alternative for me, right? So, and that can help her consent to this kind of situation. But I don't agree that it is the primary responsibility of a social worker to put this kind of suggestions to the woman's table to consider. I don't think so. but rather the agency where I have taken her to or where the case have been referred to can look at, like my brother said, can analyze the risk and look at the environment at the moment and look at, are there children involved? If there are no possibility or there are no spaces where we can take her to, that could be an option that can be put on the table by the ministry, especially in states where they don't have shelter. In my states, we don't have shelter. So when
No,
we
we are
have
talking about undertaking in this instance.
Yes,
It's
so
undertaking we are talking about.
it is not the duty of the social worker to make that suggestion. Rather, the agency can put that on the table for the woman to consider.
So social workers should not suggest it. Suggest.
Yes, because if you do that for me, what if the woman doesn't agree to that suggestion and she's just doing it because the social worker is asking her to consider it? It could backfire. They might reconcile, and if she gets back, the man will continue to hit her. And then she will come back and say, Auntie Blessing, you're the one who said I should ask to sign, and ask him to sign. We've seen those cases. They come back putting the blame on you. So for me, I would also want to protect myself by providing her information to make informed choices. Yeah, they come back putting it on you when it doesn't go well.
Okay. I can still see some hands up. Or is it that the hands are not, you didn't put the hands down? I can see Juru Blessing. Oh, no, Koya Tolulokpe. I can see your
Yes,
hand
ma.
up.
Yes, ma. I want
go
to
ahead.
add what the person said. As a social worker, when assuming you did referral, the next thing is you are not to compel anybody to sign undertaking. Your own is to step back. Your main goal, achievement is for him to reign in that family. And I believe the where you refer case to, maybe the woman rights officer, I believe they know what to do. So the social work, I think we are not in a position to insist on or compelling a client to take an undertaking, because in future, by the time they settle now, they will now put the social worker, they will put him or her at the middle. They will say, she's the one that said I should do this, like as if the social worker imposed on the client. So me, I see it as imposing. It's no for me. That's it, ma.
Okay. So if we look at the steps of the one we have in decision making, we have taken action. We have taken action. For the social worker has done all the other steps from step 1 to 5. So it's not taking action. And we know that, just as we have said, for the organization to take informed decisions is why we are in the field as social workers. So all the evidences that we have gathered, we are passing it to our organization. And the decision that is to be taken falls on the table of the organization. We are not part of management. So it falls on the organization to take that decision. I don't know, somebody is...
Yes.
Oh, no, Koya Tolulokpe, please mute. Please mute. Georgia Ejele, you want to say something before we round up?
Yes, please. If I may counter something that Juru Blessing said, something about not mentioning the signing of like a restraining thing, because what if the lady in question doesn't know that she has that option? Like she doesn't want to leave the home. She has stated her reasons. Doesn't have anywhere to go. She doesn't have money and all that, but she's still under attack or some kind of, she's in danger. So if a social worker can suggest that there's another option, no, we can have this man sign an undertaking so that you might be in the same environment with him, but he cannot lay his hands on him. So I feel it should be something that is the responsibility. You're giving the client options. You're not forcing them to take, because the client may not know that option is there. That's my take, please.
Okay, thank you. So we were saying that the decision-making falls on the table of management. And I'm sure that whichever organization it is that we are talking about, whether it is government, whether it is a human rights organization, whether it's even an NGO, there are departments that deal with these issues. So when the social worker has submitted that report, it now behoves on the management to take the appropriate decision concerning this issue. So whether it is to suggest, whether it is to sign an MOU, whatever decision is taken will be taken by management. And I'm sure whatever decision that is going to be taken is the one that will favor the woman to stop the perpetrator from abusing her. So, and I'm sure that if it is a government organization or the police, they know what to do. So for us to be in between, either not suggesting or suggesting, our own is just to do a thorough job in order for the organization to take the appropriate and informed decision. So that we're not in between for the woman to come and say, madam, you are the one that said. And there's also a template. Organizations have templates of reporting cases, of case management. If you follow that template thoroughly, it will make us to arrive at the decision that will be taken by our organization. That is why when we work in organizations that are structured, for anyone to end up being in problem at the end of the day, or for the client to come and say, you are the one that told me, you are the one that said, it will not occur at all. For those of us that are working in a structured organization, even for those of us who are working in NGOs, we have ways of dealing with all these cases. Not to talk of government organizations that are formal and are structured. Adekimi Desmond, do you want to have the last word before we call it a day?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, class.
Good evening.
Yeah, regarding the situation whether to suggest an undertaking to a client, it is our interest to make a decision in the best interest of your client. And in these settings, it's a very complicated one, which is a family settings. Under no circumstances should a family life or right be broken. Under no circumstances. If you are found in it, you could lose your license as a social worker. Because at the end of the day, the victim has the right to sue you as a social worker that you suggest to him a wrong advice that leads to the breaking of his home. And this has affected her so much that your advice made her lost her mental health. Even if you will notice very well, I don't know, even if you go to the extreme, you go to the police station and you make a complaint, they will ask you, what do you want to do? We could solve this thing amicably, or if you want to let it go to the legal arena where you go to the law court. At the end of the day, all the ball is still in your court. You must safeguard the family. Things like that always come in place when there is kids involved. And even though if there is kids involved, safeguarding the kids is the first priority. And no one will come to this extent of breaking each party, because marriage is a voluntary union between both parties. So if any one of them is going to be separated at the end of the day, according to that law, it's a voluntary union. It must be voluntary either from each party. So suggesting as a social worker, telling your client to that, oh, can your husband, or would you like your husband to sign undertaking not to do this, not to do this, not to do this? It's not okay. It's not a best practice to be conducted from a social worker. A social worker is meant to gather information and give it to the right appropriate authority and let them deal with it. And when it comes, you are not a police, you are only working in the best interest. You are not a law enforcer. So we need to understand our position. In fact, you are not even a social worker is not a legal advisor. Fine, we have some that has been long in the practice whereby if you want to be a therapist, you go for the course and you will have the license to now practice as a therapist, as a social worker. I think that should be around band 8 or band 9, depending on the years of experience. So as a social
Okay, thank you.
so that's my take, man.
Okay, I think that's the last one we are taking before we call it a day. So is governor in the class?
Yes, I'm here, ma.
Yes, I'm going to send the assignment to you for the
Okay, ma.
one-page summary of the findings of that article to be submitted 4 p.m. by Friday.
Okay,
The
ma.
attendance I'm having, I don't know how many people I'm having here now. The people that came late, they have joined 32 now.
I have 33. Somebody just left now.
Okay, so my assignment as of today, which is the close of the assignment, is 40.
Yes, ma'am.
So I received from Adekine Desmond, Nwanimo Ukamaka, Vania Redsil, Okoli Pamela, and Okoro Nnenaya. And that's where I'm ending. So I have 40 assignments out of 57.
Out of 52, ma. 52
Out
or
of
51?
52.
Yes, ma. I think it became
Okay.
52 today.
52 out of 52.
Yes, ma.
So our next class will be on Friday, 7:30, when
Yes,
I will
ma'am.
expect group 3 and 4 to do their presentation. And also group 1 is repeating their presentation. Am I right?
Yes, ma.
Okay. If there's no other issue for this.
No, ma. Group 1 is not repeating, ma.
Eh?
Is it group 2?
Yes.
Group 2 that is repeating. Okay, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
So
It's
group
group 2
3,
that is
group
their
3,
presentation.
group 3 and 4. Hello, hello,
Group 1 will
hello.
observe.
Group 3 and 4 are presenting. Then the other group is representing. Am I right?
Yes, ma.
Governor, your group is representing. So
Yes,
3 of
ma.
you are presenting on Friday. That's the implication.
About 4 of us, ma. I made a case for Alice Ejembi.
No, I'm talking about the groups. I'm talking about the groups.
Okay, the groups. Yes, ma. 3 groups will be presenting, including us. Presenting.
And
Yes.
in your group, the people that we were shuffling them will now be among the people that are presenting in your group.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Yes,
So
ma.
group 2 is good to go. So it's group 1 that is representing with group 3 and 4 on Friday, 7:30.
Yes, ma.
So have a blessed week ahead.
Thank you, ma.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Please have something to say, ma. Please have
Yes,
something
go
to
ahead.
say.
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Waimo Pamela, and
Waimo.
I submit. Yes, Pamela Okamaka. So
Okamaka.
I submitted on time. I was among the people you called on Friday, but then what came in was my email address, which was Okoli Pamela. So I had to send you an email again. So you just got 2 of my names again this evening. So those 2 names, the Waimo Pamela and the Okoli Ukamaka, those 2 names are one person.
No, are you Is it still the Okoli, Pamela?
Yes, ma.
Oh, okay.
Okoli, yeah. So Okoli and
Okay,
Waimo, they are the
so
same person. And
okay, so
I've
the correct name
submitted
is
Pamela.
Nwaimo Pamela Okamaka.
Yes, ma.
Okay, so I cancelled
I've
the Okoli.
submitted things. I was among the people that
Yes,
submitted on time.
yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Hello, ma.
All right. Yes.
Although Abiola, I also resent mine today. I'm among people that
Okay.
you say we should resend on
Okay,
Friday.
I'll check. Okay, all right, I'll
All
check.
right. Yes,
All
ma.
right, thank you. Have a nice working week. Bye.
Thank you, ma. Bye.
Thank you, ma.
Bye, ma.
Azu Doris
you.
has raised
Bye.
up her hand. Azu Doris, your hand is up. Or you want to
Good
put it
evening, ma.
down? Uh-huh.
No, ma, I submitted my assignment earlier today. I don't know, but I didn't use my email because when I tried sending it, it didn't go. So I had to tell someone to help me send it.
So I don't know. The ones that I've seen as that before I entered class is the one I mentioned. So
Okay.
okay,
Because I
all right.
didn't mention of my